So as the world goes round and round until it's annihilated by the sun or whatever's left of humanity is consumed by a black hole larger than God's crack, I've realized that if there's one thing that goes in a constant circle, it's music. But of course, no circle can begin without a proper starting point, and when looking at most artists nowadays, it's less about breaking barriers and more about piggybacking off another one's sound until they can make a substantial career like the little leeches that they are. Which is why for today's video, I want to talk about the artists that instead of riding a wave of whatever's popular, instead set the stage for a whole new wave of artists and sounds to come about and completely change the music landscape forever. Alright, so to start this off, we gotta talk about Mr. Worst Rolling Loud Performance Ever himself, aka Travis Scott. Now, while I know he definitely paved the way with the melodic trap sound that inspired artists such as Don Toliver, aka Travis Scott Jr., at the same time, you could also say he was the first artist of today's generation to bring the rage trap sound into mainstream hip-hop, mainly with his first studio album, Rodeo, that had some absolute bangers such as On Your Grave and Nightcrawler that were carried by hard-hitting 808s and some of the most angry and aggressive deliveries that we've gotten from Travis Scott in his entire career, and some prime Chief Keef bars, with this man rhyming from the projects with Korean spicy garlic. But while the Houston rapper has been trying to incorporate the Houston sound more and more into his music, we can't forget the rapper who was partly responsible for bringing the Houston sound into mainstream hip-hop, and he wasn't even from Houston. That's right, I'm talking about the Harlem rapper A$AP Rocky, who at one point people actually considered Travis Scott to be the clone of, even though Travis is the one who's actually from Houston. Now, the reason why this was even a thing is because when Rocky was first popping off back in the early 2010s, he was heavily influenced by the Houston scene, really incorporating the whole melodic and chop sound so much into his music, it practically became a staple for this man's identity. And by the time Rocky was starting to slide out of relevancy, Travis was already on his rapid come up, basically solidifying Travis as the new placeholder for what is now melodic trap music. But of course, if we're going to talk about A$AP Rocky, we got to talk about his buddy Tyler the Creator and the Odd Future crew that completely took over the internet during the early 2010s. Now, while these dudes weren't the first musicians to pop off over the internet, because that title obviously goes to Soulja Boy, at the same time I do feel like they created a massive stepping stone within the music industry with how they were able to gain a loyal cult-like fan base by just simply gaining an internet following. And with its main two faces of Tyler and Frank Ocean already having gained strong connections thanks to the likes of Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, Kanye West, and many more, the sky was truly the limit for whatever some of their individual careers held. Now, the reason I bring these guys up is because a couple of things, really. I mean, starting with the obvious, you have the more outgoing personalities that perfectly match that more edgy and rebellious phase in the internet, seeming to push the boundaries of the average hip-hop persona at the time. And while their character was definitely a standout, you also have to acknowledge their fashion sense as well, really bringing the whole skater aesthetic to mainstream music, which unfortunately got us this god-awful Drake outfit in the hypebeast era that I also want to wipe from my memory, but at the same time they helped give an identity to modern streetwear and fashion in general, seeming to push beyond diamond chains in return for more relatability to their audience. But to end off this video, if we're going to talk about anyone who broke boundaries, it had to be someone who broke them and brought a curse upon hip-hop that I hope dies out soon. And of course, I'm talking about Playboi Carti and what he's done to mainstream hip-hop by bringing out rage trap. Now, I know I said earlier that Travis Scott was basically the first modern rapper to pull it off, but if we're talking about actually setting it in stone, the prize has to go to Carti for what he did when he dropped Whole Lotta Red. I mean, the man already had momentum when that Kid Cudi leak popped off, but when Whole Lotta Red dropped 3 Christmases ago, I don't think anyone would have guessed this album spawning so many new artists, including Ken Carson, Destroy Lonely, Yeet, Sofago, and many more. And while this era did have some high notes, it seems that this now became the staple sound for rappers to use when they realize they can't keep using the same pop trap sound over and over for like 20 songs, kind of like how influencer boxing has become the clear signal that said influencer is going broke. Looking at you, Black China. And I know I've been pretty critical of this subgenre of trap music, honestly feeling more and more like a hater every day I listen to it, and I also know that Playboi Carti certified himself as an absolute piece of shit, but at the end of the day, I also can't deny the insane influence this man has had on mainstream hip-hop. But that's just a little cut of artists that I think had a major influence on modern music. I know there are more to talk about, so if you guys want to hear more, feel free to let me know down in the comments, like and subscribe, and follow my IG and Twitter, and follow Chocolate on Instagram for more illustrations. And on that note, I'll see you guys on Friday when I scream very loudly for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Peace.